officers have some downtime, we're encouraging them to stop and talk to people, get out, meet with people. We have a bike patrol unit that does a lot of that stuff. But right now, my work is kind of boring. If you want to talk about numbers and budget, which is where I'm going right after this, I have a budget meeting. It's not as fun as it used to be, but and then depending on what shift you work, it varies quite a bit. During daytime, you're dealing with a lot of routine calls for service. Our afternoon shift is kind of the routine, and then as it gets darker, you start getting more drug-impaired, alcohol-impaired calls, more domestic violence calls. Burglaries start coming in as people get home from work and realize their house has been burglarized. That's when we start getting those calls. And then when the overnight shift comes on, has anyone heard your parents say, nothing good happens after midnight? Raise your hand if you've ever heard that. Is this the first time you've heard that? Okay. It's absolutely true, all right? After midnight, actually after about 2 o'clock in the morning, if you were out driving at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're older, 1 out of every 2 or 3 cars, that person is drunk. All right, so if you don't want to get hit by a drunk driver, don't be out after midnight or after 2 o'clock. Between midnight and 2, I think it's like 1 in 4. All right. And what I tell you earlier about people who are high on drugs and alcohol, they're not thinking clearly anyway. They might just be looking for a fight. And some people, when they get drunk, that's all they want to do is they want to fight. We call it liquid courage. All right. They go into a bar, they drink a few beers. They bump into somebody, and now they're 10 feet tall and 400 pounds, even though they're maybe this big. But a lot of fights happen that way because people are drunk, they're not thinking clearly. Right? So on the overnights, they deal a lot more with fights, domestics, drug and alcohol issues. So after my work's over, I go home. I have 4 kids, and that basically consumes the rest of my day. And I get up the next morning and repeat the same process. How much background do you need to be a police officer? I think, like, what kind of background do you need? Basically, you need to have a relatively clean record for a few years. If you make mistakes when you're younger, as long as there's a period of 3 or 5 years where you're not making the same mistakes, we get that. Nobody's perfect. Police officers aren't perfect. We all made mistakes when we were in high school and college. It's just you got at some point in time realize this is what I want to do, and if I want to do that, I maybe can't hang out with the same people I was hanging out with before, and maybe if there's a party going on down the street, I probably shouldn't go to the party because there's a good chance the police might show up, and I don't want that on my record. We do a psychological testing. It's a 540 question test, all true-false, where it asks you things like, are you scared of dirt? I'm trying to think of a few other ones. I'm in better shape than most of my friends, and just they're just all weird questions, and they just look for patterns in your questioning or in your answers. We also do polygraphs. Who knows what a polygraph is? A lie detector test. All right, so they hook you up to a lie detector machine for about 3 hours, and you walk out of the room thinking you're the worst person ever. As long as you don't lie and you've not done anything really too bad, you'll come out of there with no problem. If you confess to like killing somebody or there's a crime that you committed that's pretty bad that you never accounted for, you might have some issues there. But as long as you don't lie and the machine doesn't detect any deception, you'll be fine. So that's pretty much all the questions that were sent to me. What time does class get over?
06.
06. So you got about 5 minutes for some rapid fire questions.
What do you guys got? Come on, don't be shy.
Over here.
Has anyone ever pulled someone over for being too tired and being reckless that way?
Yeah, we actually get a lot of phone calls where people say, we think this person's drunk, and we get them stopped, and they just got off work, working the overnight shift, just really tired. A lot of it's the same, and we even stop people where people call in drunks that were actually just talking on their cell phone. In fact, I've pulled people over before because I thought they were drunk. It was just them talking on their cell phone because they can't do both at the same time. Usually after the traffic stops, they wake up. Any other questions?
I have one. For texting, do you pull people over if you see them texting? How does that work?
I have to double check that law. I think as a teenager, as a graduated driver's license, you cannot be on the phone at all in your car. And I think Iowa is a secondary thing. So if I stop you for speeding and you're also texting, I can maybe deal with it that way. But I don't think Don't quote me on this, but I don't think it's a primary reason to stop. Some states it is. If the police officer sees you texting while driving down the road, they can stop you and give you a ticket. But I would recommend that you don't. It really is distracting. It really is. And if you cause an accident, a major accident, even adults, we'll ask you, can we see your phone? And if you won't give us your phone, and let's say you injured somebody really bad or you killed somebody in a car accident, we'll subpoena your phone records and find out if you were texting or calling someone or talking to someone, or we may even seize your phone and get a search warrant, and it'll tell us exactly what you were doing at the time of the car accident. So, don't do it. It's hard not to. I mean, you probably see your parents doing that. I catch myself once in a while doing it, but I usually am like, I gotta stop and put that down. Just pull over, I think there's something now where you can send out a text with an X or something like that where it's saying I'm driving, so just don't do it.
How long does it take for a warrant to be in effect?
Like an arrest warrant,
Or like a search warrant?
a search warrant, well, during the daytime we can get a search warrant within a few hours. It does take a while because to get a search warrant, I have to write the search warrant, and those are not short things to write. They're probably, an easy one is maybe 4 or 5 pages, of all text. And then you have to go talk to the prosecutor's office. They'll verify everything's good. They'll say, and then they'll edit it to make it look better. And then you have to find a judge. Now, during the work week, during business hours, that's not too difficult, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, it can be. And then you gotta go before a judge. The judge has to read it. She or he will ask you questions about the warrant, and they'll maybe make some changes or some notes, and then you have to swear that everything that you wrote in that search warrant is true. And after all that process is done, then the judge will sign it, and then that's official document, that now you have a search warrant. So once the search warrant is in hand, we have to make a copy, go back to where it is we're gonna go search, provide that person with a copy of the search warrant saying, we're gonna search a house or whatever it is, and then we start searching. So it can be a process. An arrest warrant, a little bit quicker, because it's not quite as detailed. Basically, it's just, I go tell the county attorney, here's what I have, here's who we know did it, and they're like, okay, let me read the case quick, and then the same thing. That goes before a judge. You may not have to swear this time because it might just be a document that they read. They'll sign off on it, they go to the clerk's office, then that goes to the dispatch center, who enters it into the National Crime Information Center, and so it can be a while. It can take maybe a day, 2 days. Any other questions? Way back.
Have you ever teased yourself on accident?
Once. I was in training, we're doing stress-related drills, and so we're doing push-ups and running, and then we had to do a drill where we tased the target, and we had to take the cartridge off and reload another one, and then tase again. Well, I started to take the cartridge off before the tasing, it had done its cycle, so I shocked my fingers. But I've been tased, just in training, because I'm a taser instructor, and to be one you have to get tased. So I got tased when I went through instructor school, and then to show our guys that you'll survive, when I came back to instruct our police officers, I got tased again. So it's not very fun, but I'd rather be tased than pepper spray. Pepper spray is horrible. It takes like 45 minutes to even just feel a little bit better, and then when you go shower, it reactivates and runs down your body into places where you probably don't want it to go. So it's horrible stuff. I'd rather be tased than pepper sprayed any day of the week. Preferably neither, but anyway. Any other questions?
Okay, well, we have about a minute. What do you guys tell Lieutenant?
Thank you.
Yes, this has been awesome. Thank you so much.